Welcome fans of Fate Grand Order. I am Avon, you are watching FGO Tips, and today we are talking about Nero Fest, Exhibition number 4. Just gotta beat a few wyverns and Siegfried. How hard can that be, right? What's the trick? Something about armor... Uh-oh, this isn't going to be as simple as I thought. Act number 4, Demonic Dragon descends again. We're fighting all sabers this time, a mix of Wyvern and Wyvern Dread throughout the first 2 rounds, and a pair of Wyvern Evils along with Siegfried in round number 3. Siegfried's maximum health is just under 51,000, but don't let that deceive you. He's going to start out with a fully charged NP gauge in round number 1, and his passive, non-removable buff provides him 200% defense up in this battle. Just to make things more complicated, don't forget that he has access to his normal skills, which add 1 to his NP gauge, remove debuffs, and restore his own health by up to 2500 HP. Since straightforward attacks aren't going to make it through that defense, you have a couple of options. Defense down debuffs are going to be super helpful. It's unlikely that you can actually get rid of the full 200% bonus, but negating as much of it as possible will make your other attacks finally start to deal damage. Noble Phantasms that ignore defense will go even further. It's important to note though, that they only ignore up to 100% defense, so pair these with defense debuffs if you want to get all the way down to 0. Flat damage is an option too. Craft essences like Jack-o'-lantern, Volumen Hydrojarum, Covering Fire, Glass Full Sweet Time, and Land of Shadows Crimson Lotus will add a set amount of damage to each attack, and thankfully that amount is fixed, regardless of defense buffs. Another way to add fixed damage is the Divine passive skill, which you'll find on many powerful servants. Lastly, dots like Curse, Poison, and Burn deal a fixed amount of damage each turn regardless of defense. 500 Years of Dedication is a craft essence that will tag an enemy with up to 2,000 damage per turn for 10 turns after your servant is defeated. But apart from CEs, you can find similar effects in the skills and NPs of several servants. Speaking of servants, who should we tackle this fight with? MVP is definitely going to be Waver this time around. There's a number of reasons for this, but first on the list is the defense down debuff that his NP will hit everyone with for 3 turns. If you're looking for more, Shuten's Alcoholic Fruit will drop the defense of all enemies by up to 20% for 3 turns, and her Noble Phantasm can add another 10% on top of that. Asterios' NP can reduce the defense of all enemies by at least 50%, but as a 1-star Berserker, he's not likely to remain standing for very long. Likewise, Liz has a skill called Torture Technique, which can reduce one enemy's defense by up to 20%. In a battle of all sabers though, you probably don't want her on your front lines. When it comes to servants with defense ignoring NPs, you probably want to start out with Emiya. Granted, his NP is AoE, but the Archer class advantage helps make up for this, and will even allow him to inflict serious damage on the wyverns that accompany Siegfried here. Elizabeth does have a defense ignoring NP as well, but it's AoE and will suffer due to the fact that she is a Lancer, so you probably don't want to rely on her for dealing the damage. Instead, consider someone like Okita, whose NP is a powerful single target attack that ignores defense, and as a bonus, reduces the target's defense for the next 3 turns. If you have him, Kintoki makes good use of his Berserker Strength with a single target NP that ignores defense. Welfare Servant Shiki isn't as strong, but also ignores defense with her NP. Budget options include the 3-star Lu Bu. Not as powerful as many gold servants, but his Berserker class helps with the damage and his NP ignores defense as well. Another 3-star to consider is the caster Mephistopheles, thanks to an AoE buster Noble Phantasm that ignores defense. When it comes time to add flat damage, you automatically benefit from the Divinity trait on Kintoki, plus 125 damage, and Shuten, plus 150 damage. And you can add up to 500 damage to attacks with Waver's Command of the Strategist for 3 turns. And if you want to go the other direction, you can try using Saber Lancelot's NP, which increases the damage taken by a single target by a flat amount, all the way up to 3,000 at 500% overcharge. And of course, you've got the damage over time option as well. You can add curse damage with NPs from Waver, Liz, or Mephistopheles, and you can even add poison damage from Shuten's NP. Mix and match based on the servants available to you, and be persistent. Try to build up your NP in the first 2 rounds, so you're ready to go in round 3. He's going to start out with a fully charged NP, and it's AoE, so don't rely on taunt here. Be prepared to dodge, stun, or use NPs like Waver to reduce his charge gauge. Once you've made it through, you can congratulate yourself on successfully passing the halfway point. Before you get too confident though, remember next up is the mother of all warriors. But in the meantime, let me know how the exhibitions are going for you. Have you been keeping up so far? Or are you waiting to limit break Princess of the White Rose before you start working on them? Either way, I wish you the best of luck, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.